Hey guys, what's up? It's me, MC Matador, and today I am back with part 4, the penultimate part to my top 25 amusement parks I've visited series. Now, I know it's been about a few weeks since I've last uploaded one of these, and I'm pretty sure you know how these guys work. These parks here are above average, if not excellent, and I would highly recommend visiting all of them. Much like even the previous part had a lot of other really good parks that I'd recommend visiting regionally as well. And I will say that some of these parks have had considerable expansion since my last visit. So I will denote the amount of credits I have versus the amount of credits available, and include the number of credits that have been developed since I was at that park. So sometimes it takes me over 5 years to get back to a park. Number 10 is Six Flags Magic Mountain. Now the coaster count is 15 because I rode Green Lantern, but that has been since removed or relocated to La Ronde and been put in. They put in West Coast Racers, which I have not done. This park is undeniably a mecca for coaster enthusiasts with a total of 19 coasters, 15 of them valid credits and 4 for the kiddie coasters who collect them, or 4 kiddie coasters for those who actually collect them. And the lineup is full of average to pretty good coasters, but they really lack a standout. At the end of the 2019 season, the head count, they had 6 coasters: Full Throttle, Goliath, I think it's Full Throttle, Goliath, Scream, Twisted Colossus, Tatsu, and Apocalypse all cracked my top 50. Not in that order. And, well, none of them cracked my top 15. And there is a lot of opinionation about the lineup, but there is another major downside from my visit. I don't know if this is a consistent problem, but when I rode, their operations were poor. Like, I got into the park at open on a Wednesday in July, so peak summer, basically. Not a weekend, but peak summer. I was able to get on New Revolution for my first ride, but after that, X2, Viper, Tatsu, and Apocalypse were all closed, so I had to walk all the way to Gold Rusher and complete the loop later in the afternoon because the park is essentially a giant square. Nothing was really down consistently. X2 could be a bit of a maintenance issue, but the late openings, even half an hour into the park's schedule, especially for rides as reliable as Tatsu and Apocalypse, it's kind of inexcusable. Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if they were closed until for a couple hours until after the park opened. So I had to make my way to Gold Rusher and then complete the loop without fail. So Gold Rusher, Riddler Revenge, Green Lantern, Batman, Twisted Colossus, Scream, and so on. And I definitely cannot forgive a park easily for these issues with consistent operations. It's one of the basics to running a theme park. And in order for this park to move up any further than number 10, especially as I'll be visiting more parks and possibly some other flagships in the United States, it will need to redeem itself in that category. I didn't feel like it was a truly magical experience either. It was barren of major theming. And, I mean, they have improved with the appearance since 2017 with the boardwalk renovation in 2018 and the Cyclone Bay return to not Adrenaline Alley. Whatever that, it's like they themed it to street racing for the West Coast Racers opening. I forget what it's called, but I thought they trademarked Adrenaline Alley. That's not what it ended up being called. They've really spruced up the theming in those areas of the park since I was there, and I just hope that I could do better next time. I really want to get back to this park. Los Angeles was a pretty fun city, not one of my favorites, but Magic Mountain is a fantastic place, and I can go pick up other places. I can go pick up other parks that you've seen prior, like Universal Studios, like Hollywood again, as well as pick up Hang Time at Knott's Berry Farm, since I haven't been there since 2017. Moving on to number 9, we have Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. This park is one of the most convoluted in my history, because this was the second park I visited outside of my home state of Illinois. In my recorded history. And one of 2 parks I have not visited since 2014. Definitely the better of the 2, because the other one was in July of 2014, Six Flags America. Even though I have not been since May of 2014, I remember not only loving the city of San Antonio, but their flagship amusement park as well. And ever since I've been going there, they've been a target for aggressive expansion by corporate Six Flags as of late, and have added a considerable amount of new rides since my visit. I mean, Iron Rattler was already enough of a reason for me to go, but adding Wonder Woman Golden Lasso, the first ever RMC Raptor, made this a premier Southwest coaster destination. The landscape is beautiful. The quarry wall made of rocks, backdrop with waterfalls and coasters interacting with it. The park's attention to detail with things like landscaping and Texas charm. It's a pretty good place, and I really want to get back here more than almost any other park that I've ever been to. And there are still some rides I failed to pick up. I picked up. They have since expanded Batman the Ride, the first ever SNS 40 free spin, and Wonder Woman Golden Lasso, the first ever RMC Raptor. And I missed the Roadrunner Express credit, which is their mine train that interacts with the quarry wall. And I have Poltergeist as my unofficial credits thing because I know I would have a huge paradigm shift if I ride it again. And I also would love to get back on old favorites like Iron Rattler, which is still in my top 10 to this day, and it has always been in my top 10 for as long as I've ridden it, as well as Superman Krypton Coaster, an above-average B&M looping steel coaster. Moving on, we have my home park, Six Flags Great America. There are 13 collectible credits here, but I have the 2 kitty credits as well because of my days younger, as well as, it's my home park, I might as well collect the kitty coasters for as how long I'm there. No shame in that. Even though those kiddie coasters that I've been on make up, I believe, half of the total kiddie coasters I've been on. That's just how dedicated I am to not getting kiddies for the credit. Of course, my home park is my favorite Six Flags park. Mostly consistent operations, stellar and balanced lineup, and a plentiful options for various coaster rides. Which the consistent operations beat Magic Mountain. It looks pretty good for a Six Flags park. It's kind of maybe above average, middle of the road. It's not as barren as like Six Flags America or Six Flags Magic Mountain, but it isn't quite Six Flags Fiesta Texas levels. It's kind of up there with like Six Flags over Georgia for theming and landscaping. It looks pretty nice, and you can tell the park has a very rich history. I mean, this park also does have an advantage because I've been visiting this place for a decade consistently, like every summer, and I've never gotten bored of it. It's also satisfying knowing every little trick and every little trivia tidbit pretty much in the park, and I'm always open to learn more. Park's located an hour away from my home, and I would happily partake in that drive very frequently to get my fix at a great park. The one thing I do wish for is that we had a world-class coaster, which if RMC Eagle, the rumored RMC Iron Horse American Eagle is to happen, we might actually get one. But we have a solid top 3 in Raging Bull, Goliath, and Max Force, not in that order. And I mean, this is also a great park to visit if you're regional. If you're a Midwestern coaster enthusiast, try and get down to Chicago or the northern Chicago suburbs, and get to Six Flags Great America because there's a pretty good collection of above average coasters. There's a few bad ones, but I really like this park, and knowing everything about it just makes it better. I think maybe if I visit Fiesta Texas again, it could possibly beat it because of the longer operating season as well as the aggressive expansion, and maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention to the landscape back in 2014. But I feel like this park just has the consistency all in line. This park is extremely consistent. It's a stable, my home park, and I've never gotten bored of it, and that has to account for something, right? I mean, this list is always my opinion. It could easily change with visits. This is not set in stone. Moving on, we have Busch Gardens, Tampa. When I went here in 2016, I picked up 7 credits, but because of SeaWorld's, as of late, very aggressive expansion policy, adding 2 coasters in 2019 and for 2020, which hasn't opened yet, respectively, this place overtook Great America because of its expansion. I mean, Tigress, their premier ride Skyrocket 2, was a solid addition, taking up an area of the park that definitely looked a little run down because it was just a standing but not operating attraction. And Iron Gwazi is going to be an absolutely excellent coaster when it opens up. It could possibly it could make a run for the best coaster in the United States. And besides the coasters, this place has plenty of animal-themed exhibits, animal-themed shows, and just a general nice wildlife ambiance, as well as the safari if you choose to pay for that. If you want to do it. I did not do the safari, but I can imagine it is excellent. I would really want to do the safari one day, and I really want to get back to this park eventually. Especially once Iron Gwazi opens up, because that ride looks freaking excellent. And not to mention, it's right in downtown Tampa Bay, or Tampa, Florida. So can pick up 2 new credits, go to a pretty good city, maybe hit up Clearwater Beach, which I really enjoyed, went back in the same year, 2016, and just visit an excellent park, get on some old favorites like Montu, Shikra, and Kumba, as well as things like Cheetah Hunt as well. And like they got a really balanced lineup. But Iron Gwazi is going to give them their standout coaster, and Tigris is going to be another above average one for their lineup. This park is becoming one of the best parks in the United States, the Southeast. It's the Southeast at the very least. It's because of its regressive expansion and vast collection of high quality rides. 9 coasters of that size is nothing to scoff at. With, I believe, how many of them being B&Ms? At least 3. Yeah, they have 3 B&Ms. So that's always fun. Number 6 is Carowinds. This park I also visited in 2016, and thus from this point on, every park I visited in 2016 has been officially knocked off the list, or at least every park I visited since 2016, if anyone knows my timeline. One of my favorite coaster trips in history happened right here on 2 overcast, muggy days in July of 2016 in Carowinds. It was the end of July, so that's if you're wondering why I have some August continuity in the same year. Yeah, it was like the end of July, beginning of August, kind of a layover. They have an impeccable top 3 with Fury 325, Intimidator, and Afterburn, and have since added Copperhead Strike, a Mock Rides multi-launch coaster, giving me a reason to come back here eventually. But other than that, pretty much every single ride they have is like either underrated or just bad. Like, besides their top 4, they have what? An Aero Looper, a subpar wooden coaster, a Wild Mouse, a Boomerang, Nighthawk, which is a rattly death machine, a couple kiddie coasters, and like a B&M stand-up that may be one of the worst B&Ms to have ever operated. But I like it. I like Vortex, so I'm going with the public opinion on that. Well, it's rated so high because I was able to, I distinctly remember marathoning Fury 11 times in 2 days, not 2 full days, 2 partial days. Like the morning of one day and the afternoon of another, because my second day ticket was only like $6 or $8 or something, which is totally worth the more rides on Fury, as well as getting some rides on the others like Intimidator and Afterburn. I really liked Gold Rusher, and Carolina Cyclone was pretty good, like one of the better Aero Loopers. And because it was overcast and it was a looming threat of rain for those days, I was able to, like, it was a station wait for Fury, and Fury absolutely books it on the operations. So getting 11 rides in quick succession, as well as being able to get multiple rides on a good chunk of the rest, was pretty good. And Fury alone makes the park worth it. But this park could become an elite one right under our noses, because this thing is expanding rapidly. Like, Carowinds is probably slated to get another coaster in the next 2 years. They gutted their River Rapids ride, and they got rid of Dinosaurs Alive. So what's next? Maybe a large-scale GCI. Maybe RMCing Hurler as a result of such a thing. Maybe something completely original. Who knows? Carowinds is only going to get better, and I really like this park. It's a shame that it's like 12 hours away, with just on the road. Doesn't take into consideration delays from bathrooms and eating. It took me like well over 14 to get here because of all that stuff, and I really want to get back here again, but I know it's going to be difficult. Not the hardest, but not the easiest. And thus, that ends my part 4 of my top 25 coasters I've ever visited, or top 25 amusement parks I've ever visited. If I'm a little out of it, yeah, I definitely am. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Took like a 3-hour nap after my last class ended. And, like, I'm still not coming out of that. I don't know. I mean, I needed to get this video up because it's been a week since I put up my Disney video, which, I mean, it was mostly a request, and especially for my friends, as in, well, like I had one friend in particular who was very interested in my Disney opinion, and some people were asking for it, and hasn't done well, but I really enjoyed making that, and I really enjoyed getting all that out on the internet. No one's going to listen, like I said, and Disney's going to win in the end, but that's kind of how it rolls. So, if you guys have enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscription. I hope you guys have a great insert unit of time here, and as always, I wish you guys peace. Also, Super Bowl Sunday's in 2 days. Go 49ers.